Then we came in 1989, we started planting trees. So none of these trees are older than 20 years. And this is this is the results of all of that planting. And there many of the trees, they're all different ages.
The basics of restoring the forest, really at Hakalau, starts with where it's missing. And that's missing because of 200 years of grazing and introduced species being on the mountain. So once the areas are fenced, the refuge basically goes in and starts planting by hand in the pasture lands koa trees, and they're not doing this on their own, they're doing this with volunteer help.
The effort in our greenhouse is to try to build up the populations on the refuge so that we don't lose these plants to extinction. There's about 6 or 7 left in the wild of this, so talk about endangered. What we're looking at here are some of the most endangered plants in the world, down to just a few. This Philostygia velutina is probably down to half a dozen left in the world. And their world is the Big Island of Hawaii. A good example of a bird-pollinated mint is this Stenogene calamithoides. Flower is sort of a purpley red to attract the birds. And if you look at the curved flower, it's almost exactly the same shape as the bird's bill. Fits like a glove. You can see the anthers right up here that give a little pat of pollen on top of the bird's head so that they pollinate it. And this is coevolution to the max in Hawaii. We just heard an amakihi in this koa and an apapane just behind. And if we were standing here 10 or 15 years ago, we wouldn't have seen those birds because this would have just been open pasture. And since we've added the trees, basically we've planted the small trees and they've grown, we've got the birds coming in. You used to stand on the cabin porch, have breakfast, and all you'd hear is introduced birds. You'd hear the game birds and that sort of thing. And now you stand on the porch at breakfast and you've got apapane, amakihi, sometimes iiwi, alapaio, right out in front of the cabin, and then of course the nene flying over, which hadn't been up there for probably 50 or 100 years. So it's really exciting, you know, when you see the changes that are going on. And of course, you know, you can't see the changes, but you can see the results of the changes.